That early morning, when your room seemed just dark, you realized it wasn't the heavens that had pulled away, it was you who was being watched. Not by something hostile, but by someone assessing whether there was still enough spiritual breath left to survive the next battle. The silence felt deliberate, as if God himself was waiting to see if you would keep running or finally face a truth you'd been avoiding for years. There's silence in the house. Not the comfortable kind, but the kind that hangs heavy, filled with unresolved thoughts. Outside, an ordinary American neighborhood. Manicured lawns, flags waving from porches, cars lined up, ready for another day of hurry. Inside, you remain still for a few seconds, your hand resting on the kitchen table, trying to catch your mind's own breath. And then the question arises, intrusive, relentless, impossible to ignore. Why does my spiritual life feel weaker than it should, even though I'm doing everything right? You pray, you read the word, you try to be faithful. But somewhere between the alarm ringing, the coffee brewing, the notifications arriving before the sun is even up, and that strange emotional exhaustion that comes without warning, something feels off. And before you can justify, rationalize, or blame fatigue or age, a phrase slices through the atmosphere like a supernatural whisper. Your problem isn't lack of faith. It's that the enemy has been studying your habits. It's not about praying less. It's not about believing less. It's not about failing at things everyone fails at. It's about the enemy knowing your rhythm, your distractions, your emotional vulnerabilities better than you know them yourself. For years, maybe decades, he's watched every repeated pattern, every door you forget to close, every thought you let linger too long. And this is where the story begins. The day always feels the same. You wake before you're really awake. The alarm isn't just a sound, it's a reminder of the rush. You wander through the house, still foggy, turn on the kitchen light, open the cabinet, grab your favorite mug, and start the coffee. While waiting, you check your phone just for a second, and a second stretches into 5 minutes, which stretch into another 5, until the avalanche of notifications, news, obligations, and worries flood your mind like a cold wind through a forgotten open window. And in that moment, your soul subtly starts to resemble the metaphor so easily used to describe the modern American. A ship in the fog, moving but without direction, walking but not progressing, breathing but out of breath. The fog doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in, it accumulates, it settles, until one day you wake and realize you can't see clearly. Not the future, not even today, not the now. And before you blame yourself, before you chalk it up to age, phase, routine, stress, or some other comfortable excuse, a biblical truth cuts through like a spotlight, tearing the fog. Do not conform to this world. Romans 12:2. The painful part? You didn't realize you were conforming. Your mind has been shaped, slowly, by subtle pressures. Your faith squeezed between obligations. Your peace sacrificed at the margins of the rush. Your identity negotiated away in small daily compromises. And in reality, it wasn't just the world. It was a strategy. What you feel as emotional confusion may not be confusion. It could be invasion. What seems like apathy may not be spiritual weakness. It could be oppression. What looks like mental fatigue may not be tiredness. It could be interference. This is where you take a deeper breath, because the next question isn't comfortable. What if this fog isn't emotional, but strategic? What if those inevitable distractions were carefully planted, observed, nurtured by the enemy to keep you exactly where he wants you? Busy, tired, scattered? yet thinking everything's fine? What if the lapses in focus during Bible reading aren't a lack of discipline, but attacks? What if the struggle to stay faithful in prayer isn't temperament, but opposition? What if rising anxiety, irritability, and self-criticism aren't normal, but part of a plan you never saw coming? These questions begin to pierce the fog, and for the first time in a long while, you feel something stirring in your spirit. Not guilt, not weight, but awakening. Some people live years, decades even, under an attack they've learned to call normal. You could be one of them, but you don't have to stay that way. The kitchen is still quiet. The coffee maker beeps. The aroma of fresh coffee fills the air. But now the space isn't just a mundane scene, it's a place of spiritual confrontation. Something in you recognizes God is calling attention to something you've ignored for too long. And before guilt sets in, God offers you a mirror, not for shame, but for clarity. You realize something has been building up. It started small. Small choices allowed, tolerated, accepted, until it became a cycle. And that cycle has been watched. Yes, watched. The subtlest resistance from the realm of darkness isn't a direct attack. It's prolonged study, mapping your schedules, your energy, your triggers, your fears, your recurring thoughts, knowing exactly when you are most vulnerable. And why does this work? Because you live on autopilot. Alarm, to get up, to make coffee, to check your phone, to respond to someone, to gulp the rest of the coffee, to drive, to face traffic, to try to pray on the way, but your mind is everywhere, and arrive at work already drained. And at the end of the day, you ask, why do I feel so spiritually shallow lately? Because, without realizing it, you've been living according to the world, not the Spirit. Romans 12:2 isn't a devotional suggestion. It's a warning, a call, an urgent summons to wakefulness. And today, more than ever, that warning is for you. You breathe deeply, close your eyes for a moment, and a prayer begins to form. Not recited, not forced, but born out of necessity. Lord, something is happening inside me, and I know I can't keep ignoring it. You are no longer speaking as a Christian who follows disciplines. You are speaking as someone who realizes an entire spiritual territory has been eroded without your notice. And the truth becomes undeniable. Your distractions were not random. They were targeted. The phrase beats like a drum in your chest, and suddenly the fog within you starts revealing its source. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs to misalign you. Just a few degrees off course each day. Just enough to make you move without direction. Because an exhausted believer threatens no one. A distracted believer discerns nothing. A conformed believer doesn't notice the attack. An autopilot believer doesn't trouble hell. But that is about to change. Because when truth finally hits the heart, something awakens in the spirit, something that doesn't bend easily. And God whispers, I'm calling you back to clarity. It's as if heaven itself is telling you there's a path out of the fog. A real, deep, strategic, liberating path. And that path begins with something you may not have considered fully. Fasting. Not as ritual, but as counterattack. But this revelation will unfold gradually. You won't be thrown into battle unarmored. First, God is reordering your internal terrain, preparing your heart to see what has been hidden. And so before moving forward, you pray. Again, now with honesty that cuts through everything. Lord, break every silent agreement I made with distraction. Show me where I've adapted to fog. Reveal what has been stealing my clarity. You linger for a few seconds, breathing slowly, feeling that mix of reverence and urgency. And God responds not in words, but in spiritual perception. The fog isn't permanent, it's only dense. And dense fog dissipates when the light increases. Which means, if you allow it, if you continue, if you give up comfort, what begins today will be the start of a deep spiritual cleansing. And so the chapter ends as it began, with a question. Not a question of guilt, but a question of destiny. Are you ready to see clearly again?
You're still in that same quiet neighborhood, but today, something feels different. The fog inside you is no longer just a feeling, it's a presence that observes every step, every breath, every distraction. And for the first time, you realize something both frightening and liberating. It's not that you're lost, it's that someone planned your confusion. This truth arrives silently. No signs, no trumpets, just a quiet perception, almost as if the air's density has shifted, making everything sharper, heavier, more real. The enemy doesn't need dramatic attacks when he can corrupt your routine, slipping through the small cracks you never consider dangerous. The alarm goes off early, as always, but today it sounds different. Every noise, every movement, every automatic habit is illuminated by a new understanding. You are being mapped. He knows the times your mind is most vulnerable. He knows when you reach for your phone without thinking, when the news consumes your attention, when anxiety sneaks in before you even notice. Every tiny moment of distraction is no accident, it's strategic invasion. You walk through the kitchen and smell the coffee, but no longer feel safe. Everyday comfort has become a zone of observation. Every routine that once seemed harmless is now a stage for invisible warfare. It's as if every step had a purpose you never understood until now. Then comes the question that cuts like a blade. What have I allowed that opens a door? The answer isn't simple. It flashes in fragments like years of silent choices, moments when you tolerated small compromises, habits of distraction that seemed harmless, repeated access to negative thoughts or unnecessary worries. Nothing scandalous, nothing visible to others, but enough to erode your spirit slowly. You realize, with a mix of shock and relief, that you haven't failed for lack of faith or discipline. You simply didn't see the silent attack unfolding around you. And now, God allows you to see. This revelation hurts, but it liberates, because seeing is the first step to fighting. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Imagine every moment of your day being observed with surgical precision. The coffee, the phone, work, the commute, conversations, even the little distractions you thought were harmless, all carefully studied. Now, realize if the enemy studied every habit, every pattern, he also fears when you change your habits. He fears when you notice what's happening. And that is the turning point. The first step of the real battle begins within you. The prayer forming in this moment is not comfortable, not rehearsed, it's visceral, urgent, necessary. Lord, show me every door I left open. Reveal all the patterns the enemy uses against me. Expose everything I've tolerated as normal. I don't just want to survive, I want to see and to overcome. You feel tension dissolve, not because the problem is gone, but because the light of awareness cuts through the fog. Then comes the deeper perception. The fog wasn't there to confuse you, it was there to hide the invader. Your spiritual reality shifts. Every moment of confusion, every loss of focus, every emotional or mental exhaustion wasn't coincidence. It was part of a silent, calculated strategy meant to keep you in a state of almost fight, never full victory. You feel a chill down your spine, but it's not fear, it's clarity. because clarity is the first step towards counterattack. This is where God begins revealing the next level of battle, strategic fasting. But before you lift your head or make plans, he shows you that the war isn't external, it's internal. Every habit you thought neutral is now revealed as surrendered ground. Every thought you considered fleeting is now occupied territory. You see it clearly. The enemy never needed to destroy you. He only needed to disorganize, misdirect, fragment, using the very hands you trusted, your routines, comforts, and distractions. Now you see it clearly, and this vision awakens something powerful. What was allowed must be confronted. What was tolerated must be broken. What was neglected must be restored. Your spirit awakens not in fear, but in determination, not in passivity, but in conscious awareness that you now know exactly what and who you're fighting. You sit again, take a deep breath, and start identifying patterns that once went unnoticed. The small procrastination that always seemed harmless but drains spiritual energy. Checking social media or news as an escape, letting noise and anxiety creep in. Moments of irritation or impatience that repeat like signs of internal discord. Intrusive thoughts that appear exactly when you try to focus on the word. You realize these little internal doors open space for the fog, confusion, distraction, the feeling of lukewarm spiritual life. And suddenly, the prayer you whisper becomes firmer, more conscious. Lord, I will no longer tolerate what corrodes my spirit. Reveal every pattern, every distraction, every open door. Prepare my heart to fight with clarity, focus, and determination. No more passivity, no more deception, no more distraction. The house falls silent again, but now it's not just silence, it's spiritual vigilance. You feel the weight of battle, but also the hope of victory, because truth has been revealed, and where truth arrives, the fog cannot remain. You begin seeing your day's routine in a new light. Alarm, sign of vigilance, but also opportunity. Coffee, fuel for mind and spirit. Notifications, not just distractions, but tests of focus. Commute, not just physical movement, but metaphor for spiritual journey. Work, place of silent battle, of resistance and discipline. End of the day, time to review, assess, and confront weaknesses. And here, the deepest perception emerges. You are not fighting alone. The Spirit is present, guiding, revealing, strengthening. But you must act. The chapter closes with full spiritual awakening. The fog hasn't vanished completely, but the invader is revealed. You now know the patterns, the habits, the warning signs. You realize distraction, fatigue, and confusion weren't random. And with this comes silent determination. No more passivity, no more autopilot, no more distraction. It's time to fight, to illuminate, and to reclaim what was taken. You breathe deeply, feel the light piercing the internal fog, and realize the next step isn't just prayer. It's strategic fasting. It's conscious discipline. It's spiritual counterattack. And so you prepare to move forward towards the chapter where the fog begins to lift completely, revealing the path to spiritual victory.
The day begins quietly, but your awareness is no longer the same. You notice every detail. The alarm is not just routine, but a summons. The smell of coffee is not just comfort, but a reminder that every choice carries spiritual weight. For the first time, your home's silence is not empty. It's territory, space for warfare and victory. The first question comes, firm, direct. What will I do differently today that the enemy did not anticipate? Before, you reacted. Now, you plan. Before, you were distracted. Now you are aware. Before, you were tired for unknown reasons. Now you understand that every habit, every gap, every concession in your routine served as ground for the enemy. And God, in His mercy, doesn't just point out the problem. He gives the weapon, clear and powerful. Fasting. But not any fasting. Not a repetitive mechanical ritual, not a devotional formality. The fasting God presents is strategic, conscious, transformative. It is counterattack. 1. The nuclear protocol. Intense prayer and worship fast. Picture a space within you that was foggy, full of distractions. The nuclear protocol cuts these distractions at the root, focusing all spiritual energy on worship and prayer. You sit, breathe deeply, and realize that each moment without food is not suffering, it's freedom. Each minute free from physical distraction allows your mind to fully focus on God's presence. You pray intensely, sing with purpose, and feel something profound. The lost spiritual territory begins to be reclaimed. Here, every prayer isn't just words, it's a line of defense. Every breath of worship strikes the enemy who studied your routines for years. Every moment of spiritual focus rebuilds clarity, faith, and power. 2. Atmosphere fast. Clearing environment and continuous presence. It's not just what's inside you that needs attention. What you consume, the people around you, the spaces you frequent, all affect spiritual discernment. The atmosphere fast creates safe space for mind and spirit, avoiding toxic environments, negative people, and energy-draining stimuli. But fasting here isn't absence, it's replacement. You fill the void with continuous praise, spiritual focus, and intentional gratitude. What were once distractions now become opportunities for presence. As the environmental toxicity dissipates, so does the internal fog. 3. Digital exorcism fast. Dopamine, noise, and release. The modern world is full of digital distractions, news, social media, notifications, messages, each a small open door to spiritual distraction. The digital exorcism fast disconnects to reconnect. Each minute without your phone, email, or social media is filled with intentional prayer, word study, and reverent silence. Every absence of digital stimulus frees you from patterns the enemy exploited. Your mind clears, thoughts no longer scatter, attention centers. Your spirit strengthens. The enemy, who tracked your digital habits for years, now meets resistance. 4. Revelation fast. Clarity, discernment, and spiritual awareness. This fast is about vision. Revelation fast opens your eyes to the invisible, revealing spiritual patterns, enemy strategies, and insights into your own soul. During this fast, you don't merely abstain from physical food or entertainment. You seek deep understanding, discernment of spiritual events, and insight into habits that need change. As awareness rises, the internal fog lifts. You see your spiritual territory, recognize where the enemy succeeded, and most importantly, where you can reclaim control. The transformative power of conscious fasting. These 4 fasts are not just devotional practices, they are applied spiritual warfare. The nuclear protocol rebuilds focus and inner energy. Atmosphere fast clears surroundings and makes room for divine presence. Digital exorcism fast removes distractions and restores mental clarity. Revelation fast opens spiritual eyes to see and act. Every fast, every conscious choice, every moment of focus is not sacrifice, it's strategic counterattack, deliberate resistance, and reclamation of lost spiritual ground. You pray again, now with conscious authority. Lord, realign my emotions, clear my mind, break every pattern the enemy has used against me. Teach me to fast with purpose, not fear.
Reveal the places I've surrendered unknowingly. Help me reclaim my territory, my clarity, my peace. As you speak, something releases inside you. Daily tension eases, emotional fatigue gives way to vigilance and conscious awareness. You realize the battle was never about ritual, it was about regaining spiritual and emotional control, and God is now providing the tools. Preparing for the next step. Fasting doesn't end with the body or the mind. It continues through daily practice, conscious awareness, and refusing to tolerate distractions that corrode the spirit. Each decision the next day becomes a test to maintain reclaimed territory or let the enemy infiltrate again. God reminds you, you were not created to live on defense. You are meant to see clearly, walk firmly, and resist every strategy formed against you. Chapter 3 closes with firm clarity. You now have the weapon, you know how to use it, and you are ready to step into a deeper battle, where liberation becomes daily practice and transformation inevitable.
The fog has lifted enough that you can see clearly now. The enemy's patterns are exposed, his tactics laid bare, and your territory is partially reclaimed. But victory isn't a single moment, it's a process. Discipline is no longer optional. Every day presents choices that either strengthen your regained ground or allow the fog to creep back in. Spiritual warfare is not about dramatic battles that make headlines. It's about everyday decisions. What you feed your mind in the morning, how you react to frustration, anxiety, or distraction, the boundaries you set for your time, your attention, and your heart. Here is the principle. Small, consistent actions crush long-term deception. You wake up before the sun. The alarm is no longer just a sound, it's a call to vigilance. You meditate for 10 minutes, letting clarity flood your thoughts. Every inhale is a reclaiming of territory. Every exhale is a dismissal of old patterns. Meals are intentional. No more unconscious eating or binging on distraction. Every choice is strategic. You ask yourself, does this feed my spirit or feed the fog? Your environment becomes a weapon. Noise, clutter, toxic energy, all minimized. Spaces that were once neutral become sacred. Silence, once uncomfortable, is now a shield. The enemy resists predictably. He sends small frustrations, distractions, intrusive thoughts, doubts, fatigue. Each is a test. Will you slip back into old habits, or will you act with conscious awareness? And here's the truth that hits hardest. Discipline hurts before it heals. You feel fatigue, restlessness, and resistance in the body. Your mind pushes back. The enemy whispers, "It's too much, you can't sustain this." But you continue, because now you know the stakes. Every moment of resistance is not just self-control, it is spiritual reclamation. You add a journal to your routine. Each day you write, patterns you observed, moments when the enemy tempted you, decisions that reclaimed territory, insights gained through clarity and fasting. This daily practice trains the mind, fortifies the spirit, and strengthens vigilance. Slowly, the fog doesn't just lift, it no longer returns as it once did. Prayer becomes sharper, more targeted, not a general plea, but a strategy session. Lord, show me what I'm still tolerating. Reveal the patterns I unconsciously follow. Give me strength to act, to break, and to reclaim every inch of my spirit. Victory at this stage is invisible to the world, but unmistakable internally. You feel lightness where confusion once reigned. You experience peace where fear once whispered. You notice freedom where chains once bound. The most dangerous moment is complacency. The enemy hopes you will celebrate prematurely, relax vigilance, and allow old habits back in. But you have learned, spiritual warfare is daily, intentional, and disciplined.
This is the chapter of mastery over the ordinary, the mundane, the unnoticed, because every small choice now becomes a spiritual act of defiance and victory.
By now, the enemy's tactics are no longer mysterious. You recognize them immediately. Every attempt at deception meets resistance. Every intrusion into your day is met with conscious awareness. You've learned that victory is not an event, it's a state of being. It is a pattern of life built through intentional discipline, strategic fasting, and constant vigilance. The fog is gone, replaced by clarity, insight, and spiritual authority. You wake up and feel power in ordinary moments. A traffic jam no longer steals peace. A difficult conversation no longer triggers frustration. News and social media no longer scatter your mind. Your spirit operates like a well-fortified city. Walls are rebuilt. Gates are monitored. Every routine is an act of stewardship over your own energy and focus. The enemy attempts small invasions, whispers of doubt, bursts of distraction, moments of weariness, but now you respond immediately. Prayer is automatic. Focus returns with discipline. Clarity guides every choice. You notice something extraordinary. Freedom isn't just about resisting the enemy. It's about reclaiming what was lost, living intentionally, and exercising authority over your own life. Daily habits now become acts of spiritual dominance. The nuclear protocol keeps your mind sharp. The atmosphere fast ensures your environment supports growth. The digital exorcism fast maintains focus. The revelation fast opens your eyes to invisible patterns. You no longer live on autopilot. Your faith is active, aggressive, and strategic. Every action, every thought, every moment of choice is aligned with spiritual purpose. Victory is no longer a hope, it's a reality. And yet, you continue to act because discipline is not a phase, it's a lifestyle. Finally, you realize the deepest truth. The enemy feared you all along, not because of the battles he waged, but because he knew you could rise with awareness, discipline, and strategic action. You pray, not for protection anymore, but for continued vigilance. Lord, let me walk fully awake. Keep my mind clear, my spirit strong, my heart vigilant. Help me to live in spiritual dominion every day, so no fog, distraction, or deception can ever hold me again. The fog that once threatened to suffocate you is now a distant memory. What remains is clarity, purpose, and a spirit trained in victory. You have moved from confusion to awareness, from tolerance to discipline, from attack to dominion. You are no longer merely surviving. You are living victoriously.